The day of bare feet. Indian football. History of Indian football. And the historic event that happened on that day. Dear students, grade 8 students, welcome to the new lesson. This video has been recorded as part of ICET Public School online classes. As I said in the beginning, today we are going to discuss the lesson, the day of the bare feet. That is the topic we are going to, that is the chapter name we are going to discuss. As in the title suggests, there was a day, that day of the bare feet meaning without shoes, without boots, without chapels, bare feet, naked feet. That is called bare feet. Without any footwear, is called bare feet. So there was a day of them. So what was that? Before that, I will tell you the history of Indian football that begins with the rise of the club that Mohun Bagan. Even now also Mohun Bagan is one of the most important football club in India. So we can say that it was the first club in India before the independence it started. So we can look at that, what is talking about in this lesson. So altogether this is about history of, not the entire history, the positive spark where Indian football got on that day. So let us look into the book. I would like to request to all the students, please take your book in your hand while I am reading the text and explaining. Please take the book in your hand, open page number 30. There we are discussing the lesson. Directly we are moving on to the text. It was, which the day of that bare feet, it was July 29, 1911. So the day was that, you imagine, before independence, 1911 it is, July 29, it was that day of bare feet. The crowds were flocking towards the Calcutta football ground, even though football was passion in Bengal and more so in Calcutta. Now in Kolkata, this day was still a special one for Bengali and indeed Indian football fans. So that day, 29th of July, was a very important day for not only for Bengal, not only for Bengalis, but it is for the Indian football fans. They will never forget that day. The reason is that the crowd of people, they were flocking towards the Calcutta football stadium. And their flocking means they are coming in group people are coming. We usually generally use the word flock, that means flock of birds, a group of birds to represent. Here a group of people are many groups of people were coming and they crowded in front of the Calcutta football stadium. So we know that even the football was a passion in Bengal, especially in Kolkata now, even also now Kolkata Knight Riders and all. So it's a passion for football, Kolkata, for Bengal. Even in Kerala also it's just a passion. That this day is still one special day for Indian. What was that special? Look into the book. Please look into the book. It was going to be meeting between a club of ruled country and a club that represent its rulers. So a match is going to happen in that stadium, in that Kolkata stadium. The match is between the country and the rulers of that country. That means Britishers were our rulers. Those time Britishers were there. So Indians are going to fight against their own rulers. That means British team against British team. British teams are having different regiment, different teams, and Indian also different club. So Indian team, it was going to meeting between a club of ruled country, means India, and the club represent its rulers, and British their football teams. So Indian football team and British football team is going to fight in football grounds. A team that played bare feet, barring one player, was going to play against a team that played with boots. And this is not only the fight between the ruled country and rulers, and it is also a team without boots. Those time, the Indian team, Muhammed Khan, they didn't have a boot. So only one player having that boot, that I will tell you the name of that player later. And that player only having the boot, and except the entire, how many players will be there for in football match? We know that 11 players, one player. The remaining 8 players, they didn't have the boots, and without the boots, and they are going to fight against the team having boots, that is British team. Look into the book. Muhammed Khan of Kolkata was scheduled to play the East Yorkshire Regiment in the final of one of the country's biggest football tournament, the IFA Shield. That is, Muhammed Khan is the Indian team. Muhammed Khan of Kolkata was scheduled to play the East Yorkshire Regiment. East Yorkshire Regiment is the name of the British team. Muhammed Khan is going to play with that. That was the time schedule of that football match in the final, one of the country's biggest football tournament, that is the IFA Shield. The tournament name is IFA Shield. It was continuous till 1966, like that. Till that time, it continued that play. So this play was going to take place in Kolkata Stadium, and the entire football team and fans, they were crowded. They were flocking towards the Kolkata Stadium. The play is against the British team, against the rulers, against the booted players with bare feet. They are going to defeat in IFA Shield club the team East Yorkshire Regiment, a British team. We can look at the next paragraph. Please look into your book. A few weeks ago, any thought of an Indian team reaching the final of tournament would have been dismissed as pure fantasy. The IFA Shield had been more or less dominated by British teams since its inception in 1893. Indian teams had played but with limited success, and as team after team failed, a myth had been born: the British teams were impossible to beat. So here also this paragraph is talking about the birth of a myth. The myth means that without any fact or scientific proof, there was a talk among the people, that the talk was this: there is a few weeks ago, that means before 29th July, a few weeks ago, it was a myth that Indian team is going to fight against the British team in final. It is impossible, and to win against the British team also never ever possible, because the Indian teams had been playing for a long time against British team and never met success. So thereby, among the people, so in IFA Shield, it is a biggest tournament in India. It was a biggest tournament. So in that tournament, there is always the British team, they will dominate. So they were the dominated teams in IFA Shield. So even now also in 1911 also, so British team, their teams were dominated teams. So even so the IFA Shield that started in 1893 onwards, never ever Indian team win in final, never happened. So that it is made for that, it is like that. So thereby a rumors, a talk, a myth came out: British means it is impossible to defeat. So a talk like that, it was the birth of that myth, that the British teams were impossible to beat. So we can look on to the next paragraph. Before that, there is an understanding level question. So the IFA Shield was started in the year, we said that the inception means that the beginning, the starting of that club that tournament. It was in 1893. Okay, we can look at the paragraph. This year, an Indian team had set about dismantling the myth. Although playing bare feet, the players felt that this allowed them to get a better feel of the football. The team had first thrashed the St. Xavier's College, then defeated the Rangers and made it to the semi-finals by beating the Rifle Brigade. Many had felt that was as far as they would go, as their opponents were the formidable Middlesex Regiment, a very strong British team. So now we can look into the success path of Indian team, Mohun Bagan team. So it was the first, an Indian team had set about going to dismantling the myth. That means to make an end to the myth. What was the myth? The myth that Indian teams were impossible to beat. So they are going to put an end to that myth. Dismantling means put an end to that myth. Although playing bare feet without boot, even though they are going to play without boots, the players felt that this allowed them to get better feel, because without the boot they feel more comfortable. They feel it is to play football without boot is they felt comfortable. The team had first thrashed St. Xavier's College. So that was their first team. So they defeated St. Xavier's College first. They defeated, then defeated Rangers. Another team they defeated Rangers and made it to the semi-final. In the semi-final, they are going to beat against Rifle Brigade. So in that match also they won. Many had felt that was as far as they would go. So it's okay. In quarter final and semi-final they are defeated. So that is the maximum and Indian team. That was the history. So every people they expected that much only. Only that is the maximum an Indian team can do. And fortunately in the semi-final, as their opponents were the formidable means that is very strong, impressive team, formidable Middlesex Regiment. That was their semi-final opponent, and in that it was a very strong British team. So in that play, what happened? So we can look into the semi-final. Okay, come. Next paragraph. Look into the next paragraph. Next paragraph is explaining about the semi-final. How was the score? We can look into that. What was it? The match finished 1-1, and therefore had to be played played 2 days later. Would Mohun Bagan repeat its heroic? Would the Middlesex players stifle their opponents' creativity? Mohun Bagan's fans hoped for the best, but privately feared the worst. Could their team hold its own against a British side for the second time in 2 days? So this was the doubt of the fans, Indian fans football. That is the the semi-final match against the Middlesex Regiment. So that entered in 1-1. So it was a draw. At that time, they had to play one more time after 2 days. They have to. So would Mohun Bagan repeat its heroic? This was the question. So in first semi-final play, they made it 1-1, and will this historic? That was the historic till that time. Historic play. So whether Mohun Bagan can repeat the historic play again or not, or would the Middlesex players stifle their opponent's creativity, or whether they will stifle means defend the opponent's Mohun Bagan's that their play, their creativity will this team will destroy or not. It was the biggest question among the football fans. Mohammed Bagan fans hoped the best, but inside their heart they had a fear that definitely they are not going to defeat this Middlesex regiment team, because they are such a formidable team they were. So by luck it became 1-1. So after 2 days, one more time when they are playing, definitely they are going to be defeated by the British team. So it was their inside their heart, they are feeling they feared the worst. Okay, now what happened in the real play? What happened? We can look into the play. Just like a commentary, we can go to this next paragraph. The paragraph is like this. Please, all of you, all children, I would like to request you, everybody, please look into the book, and if possible, please keep your finger on the line while I am reading. Then only you will have that means familiarize with the words and the lines. So please keep on watching in your textbook while I am reading. So here it starts like this. The man who had saved Muhammed Bagan a few days ago settled their nerves within a few minutes. A brilliant pass from Shibdas Baduri went through the Middlesex defense like a hot knife through butter and found Habul Sarkar, whose shot ripped into the goal. The fans were exultant. Muhammed Bagan was leading. Barely had Middlesex recovered from the shock when Shibdas himself had scored a goal to double the lead, when Kanu Roy smashed a free kick past helpless and by now shell-shocked Peacock. It was not just Kolkata, but the entire nation that erupted in joy. So this was happened in that play. So what happened? So the man who had saved Muhammed Bagan a few days ago, the one that is 1-1 was the score, the goal given by by a player that settled their nerves with a few minutes. So they were that means so arranging that, even the entire team, to make it their planning and everything. They settled their arrangement. Then a brilliant pass from Shibdas Baduri went through the Middlesex team. Then Shibdas, he was the captain. Shibdas Baduri was the captain of Muhammed Bagan team at that time. He gave a pass that went through the Middlesex defense like a hot knife through butter. How a hot knife that goes through butter, like that pass went through the defense of that Middlesex defense and found Habul Sarkar, whose shot ripped into the goal. And that pass, this Habul Sarkar took it and he put into the goalkeeper's net. So it became a goal. The fans were exultant. They were very, what we can say, extremely proud and happy. The people, they were very exultant. Muhammed Bagan was leading that. Barely had Middlesex recovered from. For the Middlesex regiment, it was a great shock. Again, they received a goal, and to double the lead, the Kanu Roy. Then after that first goal, another player, that is Kanu Roy, smashed a free kick again. The call was helpless and by now shell-shocked, because it was not just Kolkata but the entire nation that erupted in joy. Like that. So, like that, the play was without. For the team, British team, it became a great shock at that time for the Middlesex regiment, for the team. An Indian team, look at next paragraph. An Indian team had reached the final of the IFS Shield, that too by thrashing British team 3-0. The score on that play, the score was 3-0. That is one that is Shibdas Baduri and another, that is Abul Sarkar, and another goal by that's Kanu Roy. They made their way to the success that with 3 goals. They received no goals. Against 0 goals, they put 3 goals into their net. So this was the score of that semi-final at the second time semi-final. First semi-final 1-1, and it became now 3-0. So definitely the football expert and fans, their talk. They were telling that an Indian team had reached the final in the IFA Shield, and that too by thrashing British team 3-0. It means that they came in final not by luck, because if it is 1-1 or 3-2 like that, if the score was like that, we can guess, okay, at that time by luck anyhow they reached in final. But it is not anyhow. By playing intelligently, very carefully, very tactfully, they reached in final, not by luck, because the score is 3-0. If I told you, by if it is by luck or by any small score, no, not like 3-0 score they reached in, by thrashing British team regiment, Middlesex regiment, they reached in final in IFA. This is the first time they are reaching, Indian team reaching in final. We can look into the next paragraph. Please, everybody, look into the next paragraph. It is the way the way in which Muhammed Shah had won the match had also raised the expectations. A narrow win could have been put down to a good luck or fortune. A 3-0 victory was a different matter. As the newspaper carried news of the match to other parts of the country, surprise was slowly giving way to pride. Cracks were appearing in the myth of the Bootwala Goras, boot-wearing white men being naturally superior to their Indian counterparts. So this is what I first said. So even the Mohan Bagan team, Indian team, winning that the match first time, reaching in finals. So it was not a by luck. It was not a narrow win. Narrow win, not by luck, not a narrow win, could have been put down to a good luck or fortune. We can't say that it was a good luck, it is because their fortune. No, it is not. A 3-0 victory was a different matter. Then as the newspaper carried, so it became a big news, and all the medias and the newspaper reporters, they carried the news to the other part of the country and outside the nation, outside the country, and it became a big news that Indian team, that ruled team, fighting against the rulers, they reached in IFA Shield in final. It was the biggest title news of that day after the semi-final against the team, against the British team. And cracks were appearing in the myth. So first we said there was a myth, the myth that the British teams were impossible to beat. So now small cracks were appearing in that myth. Among the people, different opinion is coming out. So the opinion was that it is possible to defeat even British team also. And the talk was like this, the myth of the Bootwala Goras, that means boot wearing. So the Indians were, that means jokingly they're talking about, means sarcastically talking is that British team, that is Bootwalas, that means wearing boot. Indian team didn't have boot. And Bootwala people, that white people with boots, and being naturally superior to their Indian counterparts. So definitely till that time British teams were considered that the superior people than Indian teams. They are inferior. Just for them it may be a match or rehearsal or something. For India they were deadly, they are playing, but never they win. But now it became a challenge for British regiment also, that Bootwalas, white boot wearing players. Now we can look into the next. Rarely has a team prepared for a match under so much pressure as Muhammed Shah did that day in the last week of July 1911. July 1911, the last week, the preparation of that Muhammed Shah in the history, it was the most prepared or pressurized time for the team, because they have found the opportunity to participate in the final. They reached in the final. They are going to play in the final, first time in the history of India. So they were under that much pressure to win that match. So they started their preparation. Muhammed Shah, the first time in their history, they were doing in the last week of 1911 July. So now they are going to play the final. Let us watch how was the final play preparations and how the football fans they were treating for them, how it was and how was their responses, and how they celebrated this chance of playing in final. That all we can look into the next paragraph. So I request to all the students, you have to read the lesson again and again. So our Indian team is going to defeat, Indian team is going to play the final of IFA Shield against British team. There is a myth that British team were impossible to meet. Let us go to the final. The final day is not today. We will play the final. We will need little more time to prepare for that final. So we let us prepare, and let us prepare our Mohun Bagan team with full-fledged play of the final. Let us watch that what will happen in the final. So till then, take a short break. So don't forget, our final is going to start on the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day. Wish you all the best. Bye bye.